Next time, I'd rather see your face than not see your face, son. Chickity chickity check, son. Riggity riggity wreck, son. What up, what up, what up? I'm Cecil. Welcome to the horror show, y'all. Who this boy?
Go. Listen, all y'all, this is Sabotage.
Okay, you're not gonna actually say your name, though?
Oh. Also, Fuego here. I didn't know if we were like official. Are we official?
That's official, sir. We are official.
Can I finish? Can I finish? Okay, I'm finished.
All right, wait, hang on. I gotta change this to spoiler thoughts.
I thought you changed that already, sir.
I didn't change it in the actual description, but now I have. We're back! All right.
Look, guess who's back up in this bitch?
All right, I'm excited to talk spoilers, Fuego.
Yeah, I am too. I'm gonna have a little sip of wine. Huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna have a little shot of water.
There you go.
Yeah,
it's clear like water.
It's clear. No, it's clearly water.
Exactly. Okay, so spoilers here, man.
Wait. Okay. Yeah. Okay. People are signing on. Okay. Cool. All right.
Yes,
I was gonna say, let's give them a couple minutes to sign on before we actually jump into it.
Okay.
Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. Thank you for joining us.
What up? What up?
We're ready to talk spoilers on this motherfucker. I'm about to take a shot of water. Fuego, have a drink of your grape juice.
It is grape juice, a special kind. Jesus made this out of water for me.
Are you telling me that the Lord Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is sitting at your house right now?
Well, he was for a moment. Only in spirit, though.
Oh, that's cute. All right. Fuego, I would like to start Spoiler Town.
Oh, yeah, because you let me start the last one, but now, like, the floodgates are opened, y'all. This is what everybody who has seen the movie already wants to know. Is our impressions on the good.
So I do have to say, let's try and keep it at least a little bit professional and do a bit of a lead-in. Okay. There's a lot of moments in this movie, you guys, that me, as well, I do enjoy the Star Wars franchise. I'm not nearly as die-hard about it as Fuego is, which is why I let him lead off in the regular review. But I do enjoy a good, awesome, big-budget, huge space battle movie that ties into stuff that I've known from my childhood. And there were a lot of things here. There was a lot. We didn't even talk about the humor in the regular review. We should have. But the first thing I want to mention is there was a moment at which they show it in the trailer. They show Kylo on a collision course shot path with Leia's ship, with Leia in the bridge, and it shows him reaching for the guns, and she's like waiting, you know, is he gonna kill me? And then, you know, we don't know what happens. That's in the trailer. The awesome thing is that's not bad, that's not good editing. That is literally what happened, and then he eases off his trigger, and then his two flanking guards come in and shoot the bridge anyway. Yeah, the bridge blows up, which is something we did touch on. This is what kills Admiral Akbar. But it's fucking, you see the bridge explode behind Leia, and she gets sucked out into space. And you're like, whoa, what? I was like, whoa, they actually did kill her. Like, I thought I heard that 9 was her movie. What happened?
There was a lot of moments in this where they were just like, is this character dead? Are they going to... Psych! You know, there was a lot of psych out moments in this where...
And this was the biggest one, though. She's
second biggest for me.
It shows her literally floating in space, and she's, like, knocked out. And a lot of people are like, oh, she just woke up and decided to use her powers. No, I disagree. She woke up because she was unconscious, and so her eyes open. She's in space, freezing to death. And, like, her thought is she reaches her hand out, and it's fucking an awesome moment. She reaches her hand out and uses the Force for the first time and like, pulls herself back to an airlock door and smacks her hand on the window just in time for Finn to let her fall back in. But it's the first time we've seen her use the Force, and she fucking pulls herself back from the brink of death. And, like, I know some people thought it was, like, too easy for her based on some of the reviews I've watched since the movie. But I feel like it made sense. Yeah, it would have been okay if she had struggled a little bit. But there was so little time for her. She already had run out of air, essentially. So I thought it worked. If the Force was going to work for her, it was going to happen then. And it did. And it was really awesome.
Yeah, she'd shown Force sensitivity before and stuff like that, but nothing as monumental as doing something like that. So it was. I thought it was a cool moment. It was. It's one that I do think a lot of hardcore, like as Schnepp would say, like sweaty Star Wars fans will take some qualms with, though. But because it was such a monumental thing for her to do. But
it was awesome, though.
It looked cool. It was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, I think. It truly, truly was.
It really was, and it was one of the moments, there were, like, literally, I have to say, one of the reasons I absolutely love the movie is I had so much fun, and I was engaged the whole time. It was a 2.5-hour movie. I had drank in, and, like, just gotten crazy.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, I mean, and I was like, I had too many shots, in other words, and so I was worried I was going to pass out, but I didn't. I was engaged the whole time, and it was really awesome because I was so into the movie. So there was so many times I was like, oh yeah, and the second thing I want to spoil, I'll get to in a minute. I got to talk about that jump that I was talking about, Fuego, in the regular review. So you picked something else to spoil. But there were so many moments where I was like, yeah, like I was audibly like the only person in the theater going like, oh yeah, stuff like that. So anyway, what's one you want to go to?
I have to get the worst thing out of the way in this entire movie, and that is the Finn Rose story sucked ass. It was boring. It was stupid. The casino planet was lame.
You don't think the romance is worth it?
At the very end? No, it's not. It was unfounded. He's still into Rey, as he made it very clear when he wakes up, and yeah, you definitely feel like there's some one-sided attraction there, but I just hated the Finn story. I thought it was a disservice to the character. I thought it was boring, and especially once they got to that casino planet, it felt like some prequel shit to me. It really seriously did, and it wasn't... And also the way that they tried to tie it in at the end with that kid who was like, pushing the broom and stuff, and after the little ring that they give him, and I just really, anytime they went to that story or that particular intertwining story amongst everything, I didn't like Benicio del Toro's character at all. He felt throwaway to me. He felt useless. I felt like the film, I was not engaged throughout. I was bored anytime in the middle where they switched to that storyline because of the fact that I felt like that's where the pacing issues really showed. That was where the film started to show that it was, in fact, the longest Star Wars movie ever, at 2 hours and 32 minutes, I want to say. So, I mean, unlike The Force Awakens, this film felt its length to me. It really, really did. And even when Finn has his little final showdown with Phasma, it's like a minute or two. Yeah. And, she might not even be dead yet. She has that armor that can deflect shots and stuff like that. Who knows if she couldn't still be brought back in Episode 9. I mean...
Yeah, no, I think she very much can, and all she'd have would be like a burned eye.
Yeah, because that was the only exposed thing, and so...
Which would be cool. She'd look like a Star Wars Domino from X-Men. Yeah. But nonetheless,
so that's one that I had to just throw under the bus.
No, I agree with you.
I thought it sucked.
It was a bummer, and it's so funny because the movie like puts right on Front Street something like they're basically so it's Leia's ship and Armada. The remaining ships of the Resistance are trying to flee from the First Order from the very beginning of the movie, which is from the end of the last movie. And they're barely able to stay ahead of the ships because they only have enough fuel for one more hyperdrive jump, and they don't want to use it because they know they're being tracked by the First Order. So essentially, the First Order says they have a rope tied to them. They have a tether. And it's like they're holding them where they are, and it's like they're holding the movie hostage too for this entire time, because that's the whole subplot of Finn and Rose having to go do their thing while the ship is just being held back by the First Order. It's like that whole half hour of the movie could have been chopped down tremendously, and it wouldn't have killed the pacing as much as it did, because it literally felt like the First Order had a tether not only on the Armada but on the movie itself.
Yeah, and something Chase mentioned right here, it's crazy to think that this was originally a 3-hour cut, and they trimmed so much stuff.
I would be down to watch the 3-hour cut.
Still felt long.
I would be down to watch the 3-hour cut.
Well, Rian Johnson has said that there's at least going to be a ton of deleted scenes, but he was saying most of the stuff that he trimmed was Rey and Luke on the island, which is where I wanted more.
That's what was missing,
I wanted more training. I wanted, as I alluded to in the non-spoilers review, the fact that I took major exception with the fact that Rey was so powerful so quickly in The Force Awakens. I took major exception. But then when they started hinting about her lineage and who she could potentially be a descendant of, whether it was a Kenobi or a Skywalker or whatever, that's where I was like, okay, that's really the only way that I will probably justify her being able to pick shit up so quickly, being able to best someone like Ben Solo so quickly in like her first real lightsaber battle when he was trained for years by Luke. And so that I took major exception, and that's why with the reveal, and you seem to think when we hinted at it in the non-spoiler that, you know, it could be like it could have been diversion from Kylo maybe, or, you know, whatever, telling her your parents were just junk traders and they sold your booze money and blah blah blah.
I think he was trying to bring her even lower to get her to join the dark side. I don't think that's entirely true.
Which was one of my favorite scenes in that whole movie. I honestly kind of wanted to see it happen.
So you never thought that? You thought he was telling her the truth until our review?
I did. Yeah. Well,
what do you think, though? What do you think now? Do you think that's possible?
No, because Rey didn't seem that confused. I mean, and she was secretive about her parents for whatever reason, and she said they were nobodies, they were this, they were that. But the point that I was at least trying to make about it is, especially with additional, like, at least not an immense amount of training shown with Luke in this film. I mean, there was a little bit of stuff here and there, but nothing like we saw on, you know, Dagobah with Luke in Empire or anything like that. And so I felt like that big hinging story point, you know, that JJ put together with his writing team in the previous film was just kind of, this was another exception that I took. I felt like a lot of big things that were built up in the previous film were thrown away on the junk heap in this one, and namely another one being Snoke. He had like 2 scenes in this.
Snoke was horrible.
And then he gets killed, and he's done.
The way he was killed was cool, though. You got to be honest.
Very, very, very cool. And that scene was maybe my favorite scene in the entire film.
Although I do agree with a lot of people that say if he was this big, you know, evil Sith master or whatever, he should have felt the lightsaber turning right next to him.
He should have, and it was just poor. It was lazy writing, in my opinion, because they had even said in promotional stuff and in different interviews and things like that Snoke was, as they say in the lore of all of this, he's more powerful than Vader and the Emperor, and yet, you know, he's
that's bullshit. That was just marketing.
There were news stories all over the place about
fucking Star Wars propaganda.
It's not propaganda, in fact, because I mean, for him to be taken down in the fashion in which he was, just while awesome as it was, and surprising as it was, and cool in the fact that, you know, Kylo, but then again, that's the thing with all of these different Sith Lords that take on an apprentice, the apprentice always ends up killing, you know, the master of sorts. It happened all the way back to Plagueis and stuff. And so it's not surprising, but it just felt too soon. I felt like Snoke should have been killed in Episode 9, but they're obviously positioning Kylo to be the big bad, and I did at least find it compelling the way they did the whole bait and switch thing with you thinking maybe he could turn good, and there's been a lot of people speculating that we are going to see a redemption arc, kind of like with Anakin, you know, with like his grandfather, I guess, and I still think it might happen, but I'm not 100%, and there's a lot of people who also speculated that Rey might turn to the dark side. Didn't happen. But yeah, at this point, I don't think Rey's going to turn dark. But I
don't think she will either. No. She's clearly the Luke Skywalker of this thing. But I did hear, is it true that she doesn't want to play Rey anymore after Episode 9?
That's what she has said, but who knows? Opinions change.
That's fucking lame.
Well, this new Rian Johnson trilogy is supposedly not going to be a continuative story with characters.
No, it'll be the story of Finn and Rose.
God, I hope not. beating us over the head with social justice warrior messages and shit. It was like,
all right. Well, let me get to the second thing I want to spoil. Here's the second thing I want to spoil. I want to spoil the fact that Laura Dern's character was completely useless and killed in she was completely unnecessarily killed because that ship could have for sure. Like, if they've got all this technology, there's no way they don't have a remote way to control a giant ship like that. But even if so, the way she went out, the thing I was alluding to in the non-spoiler review was the fact that all of these sci-fi movies and series, Star Trek, Battlestar, Star Wars, they have this hyperdrive space jump where all the stars like blur into lines and they go super fast, and I'm like, what happens if they hit something when they do that? And finally, in this movie, we got to see what happens when she purposely jumps into hyperspace directly into Snoke's ship and fleet. And it's really cool because she does it, and then that's the point at which the sound completely drops out of the movie, and you just see the ship splinter, and the rest of the fleet just get blown to smithereens behind Snoke's ship. And it was really awesome. And again, it was another moment that I audibly went, oh, shit. Like, it was so cool. Like, I was like, that is awesome. And while it's like, why haven't I seen that before? I was so happy to actually be seeing it that I was like, fuck yeah, man, this is awesome.
It gave something interesting finally for the Laura Dern character to do, aside from just being a bitch and concealing information and then being a coward and wanting to just retreat and all this stuff. I mean, I did not like her character at all, but I know that's the way that she was written. She didn't really play it that bad, I guess, but that was at least an essence of redemption for her, and maybe it was because she realized, oh, I have been, you know, really, really petty and not the best leader here in, you know, the wake of Leia's loss. And so, yeah, that scene was dope, dude. I definitely agree.
So, Fuego, what's the next spoiler you want to talk about? There's another big one I want to talk about that pissed me off, but you
pissed you off. I definitely have to mention the one that made me super, super happy, and that was seeing Yoda in this film. I was very, very, very happy to see I felt like there was a little bit of... That was actually what was ruined for me. You know how I told you that that there was somebody who alluded to me, like, wasn't Yoda awesome? And he blah, blah.
Oh, like, really? They said that shit to you?
They said that shit to me because they thought I'd seen it already.
Oh,
you know?
real.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not like a major. It's not the most pivotal scene in there, but it is such a nice, like, I guess it's fan service to some degree, but it really just made me happy, especially seeing him not look in that prequels, complete CGI.
He looked like what he did in Empire rather than what he did in the prequel movies. Like, he was a puppet that had a CG blue glow around him.
Yes, and Frank Oz coming back to do the voice. I mean, and they had it was really funny. It was kind of like the exchange that those two had back in, you know, in Empire especially, where Yoda's like messing with him and hits him on the head with the cane and all this stuff. And, you know, when they talked about the Jedi texts, and he's like, page turners, they were not, and all that. And
well, but again, another thing that was, I have to give credit where credit's due. Another review mentioned the fact that we didn't see, there's a chance that Rey took the texts with her.
There's not a chance. They showed them. They showed them on the Falcon.
Oh, they did. Okay.
So yeah.
So
she took them.
He just destroyed the tree. Luke never knew that the texts were gone.
I'm assuming Yoda knew. You know.
Well, yeah, Yoda knew, obviously, but but I guess he didn't want Luke to know for whatever reason, because that's going to lead to my next spoiler. What the fuck? Luke just disappeared with no fanfare? Like, why? Why did he just die?
I didn't like the way they did it either. But
that's stupid. I mean, that was so stupid. And now, in retrospect, retrospect, they should have let Leia go and kept Luke. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20. They didn't know Carrie Fisher was actually going to die. But still, man, that was a dumb choice. Why did he just die?
Yeah, that's dumb, and especially after he's like, "See you around, kid," and all that stuff. I mean, there was no reason.
So astral projection takes that much energy that it sucks you dead? What?
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought too. I was like, and that's really the only explanation that we have for it, is that he just exerted so much energy with projecting himself that far and in that manner, because we'd never seen a Jedi do that before. And it was once again interesting bait and switch, man, because when he showed up for that final battle, and I was like, oh, he got a haircut, he looks younger, you know, he cleaned his ass up, like, what is going on? You know, did he go to, you know, then use some Just for Men on that beard? And so I was a little skeptical about his abrupt appearance at first anyway. The one thing that I didn't notice that I saw some people mention afterwards is they said that when his feet were dragging around in the sand, like, that was like or the salt, I should say, that was a clue, because, you know, you see anytime Kylo was moving around during that big final battle, which wasn't even that big of a final
Luke's
battle.
Feet weren't dragging a path?
That's what I saw some people saying, and I take notice of it. But upon another viewing, that's the thing. I definitely feel that this is a film that needs to be seen at least twice, because of so much of the bait and switch, cloak and dagger, kind of stuff that they do with you, and some of the stuff that might have pissed me off a little bit initially, maybe with going into a rewatch expecting that and trying to be more accepting of it, I might appreciate it more so. I don't think that'll be the case with the casino shit, but with some of the other things that I was disappointed with, namely the way Luke was dispatched, but it was still a cool fight with him at the end, even though their sabers weren't even hitting. It was just like Luke didn't even want to fight him. He was just dodging, and he did like the Matrix thing and all that, which was kind of funny. But yeah, I must admit though, by the time we got to that final battle after the other stuff
I was fatigued, man.
I was too. I was like, oh god, there's another battle. Okay, this film is showing its pacing issues. It's showing that it feels its length,
It could have ended. Sam says, please talk about the Luke and Leia scene. What Luke and Leia scene? Like, there was a brief moment, right?
Very end, and she's like, I changed my hair. And I didn't really feel the kinship and the warmth and the love.
Right before he faced them down, right?
Maybe, yeah, exactly. It's where he shows up in the base and he sits down with her, and it didn't feel like the reunion that you would have expected after who knows how many years it's been that Luke had been in exile and in hiding and stuff. And
well, they couldn't hug. They couldn't do that. So
and maybe Leia knew, since she's so super force powerful now with the fact that she can fly back in the ship when she's out in space and everything. Maybe she just sensed that it wasn't really him.
It would have actually been a really good thing, I think, if she had even said, like, I'd hug you, but, Yeah. Like, even something like that, because you'd be like, wait, why? Oh, because they have this weird relationship. It's like, oh, no, because she knew. Like, that would be fucking cool if they had that line in there.
Yeah, Chase Smith actually said something funny, that Variety spoiled the Yoda cameo in there, and that was
I didn't know that. That's rough.
Dude, there were people sounding off on social media who had already been to the premiere and seen the film and were like, this person in Variety is a dick. Scott, you're a dick. And I don't know if Scott's not his name, that's a South Park reference, but nonetheless, this guy mentioned it in the review, and so many people were just like, dude, you can't spoil something like that with how much Star Wars means to people. I mean, and yeah, lots of YouTubers called this guy out, and they were pissed.
Damn. Chase Smith says, you two have dissenting opinions. You are obviously bots because everyone loves everything but Canto Bight. What is Canto Bight? Is that the casino area?
That's the casino area, but I didn't say that. I said that I hated the fact that... Were you listening to the fact that I said that Snoke was dispatched in a ridiculously easy manner?
Yeah.
That they didn't develop that shit the way that they made all of us think that they were going to.
Yeah, let's talk about that. He was supposed to be the new emperor.
Do you want nerd rage? I can give you nerd rage.
Go ahead, give it, Fuego. Do it. Drink another swig. Have another swig before you do it.
You're saying I'm a bot and a lover? I said that I liked this movie. I appreciated a decent amount of it, but it wasn't necessarily what I wanted out. I mean, I'm somebody who read, the 3 novels that they did with, oh god, why Mr. Blue Man? Why the hell is his name eluding me? Tarkin, maybe? No, he's this big bad that comes in the there's like The Last Command, and there's this trilogy that they did. It was a trilogy of books, and it was the actual continuation in the 90s.
Heir to the Empire?
Yes, exactly. That was the first one, and I know Last Command was one of them, and so it dealt with Luke and Leia having twins. It dealt with those two being super force sensitive, and like just the next generation of Jedis and stuff like that. Shit, I loved in the comics in Dark Empire and Dark Empire 2 where they resurrected the Emperor, and Luke ended up getting turned to the dark side and going full on bad and stuff. This was not the continuation of the story that I had already read as a kid, so I wasn't completely happy with it. But I'm trying to be accepting of it because of the fact that the film, it was very well made, and I loved everything with the new characters except for the Finn shit. And you know why everybody's bitching about Finn's storyline? Because it sucked. It was boring. It was stupid, and you didn't really sense much chemistry between either of those characters. And so, yeah, if there is a polarizing landslide of everybody saying that this bit of the movie sucked, it probably sucked.
I agree. Well, on some level. Some people might not have as big of a problem as others do. All right, Tetra, we need to... All right. But yeah, no, there was some disappointing stuff stuff for sure, but again, the way it looked and the fun I had and the engagement level I had, like, I put this one high. I put this one really high.
Thrawn, yes, Thrawn. That's the guy whose name was totally eluding me, and they just brought him back on Rebels, I think. So he, despite being an EU character that was deemed Legends because all those comics and all of those spin-off novels and stuff like that, that was all just stricken from the record. But Thrawn is officially canon, and there's still speculation, unless they kill him off in Rebels, that he could come back at some point. And I thought he was a very compelling villain. So yes, I was just happy to see that confirmed for me since I couldn't remember his name. Anyway, sorry.
All right. Well, Sam, I probably won't get a chance to play more Battlefront 2 today. I got to go to dinner, and then I got to actually record a review of a comic book to go up tomorrow. Krampus comic book for our Christmas comic book review. But yeah, so I don't know, Fuego, is there anything else left to spoil? We talked about a lot of the fun stuff.
Yeah, we did, and I mean, once again, I could rage more about...
Oh, Captain Phasma had a really brief fight with Finn and was dispatched. And we mentioned that already, and the fact that she might be able to come back because, you know, she came back from the weird trash compactor, whatever, and so, I mean, that's the fact that she was in that insanely protective armor despite falling into all those flames. I think she might return. One thing I must say is that Donald Gleason's character in this, whereas he's more stoic and like stern, just very stereotypical baddie. They really about the whiny admiral or whatever the hell he was.
They goofed him up in this, man. I didn't like him being the more
what did you call him? It's Oscar Isaacs.
No, I'm talking Donald Gleason.
Donald Gleason, the redhead.
The dude.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah. He was like Kylo's rival in the previous film, and you felt like they were on a comparable level of power in this.
Oh, he was ridiculous.
Yeah, they really just... I didn't like the way Rian Johnson used him. And that's another thing that I'll say. I didn't like a lot of the humor in this movie. While there's a couple moments where I chuckled and stuff, the one that I'm in the camp of hating was Luke throwing the lightsaber. I hated that shit. I thought it was stupid.
That was funny.
I thought that... I did not laugh at that. That did not seem in character. But then again, he's supposed to be like grizzled, like cynical old.
That made me laugh. When he did that, I'm like, Pah.
When I first saw that, I was like, what kind of Star Wars movie am I watching here? You know, and also with even the humor at the very beginning where Poe calls in and the person he's like, excuse me, I'm trying to contact General Hux and so on. And so it just felt not like Star Wars humor. It felt not like timeless humor, but it felt more like of our era humor. You know, it felt like 2017
holding for General Hux.
Yeah. It felt like 2017 humor. It didn't feel like a galaxy far, far away. It felt like our world.
It did. It did feel more like our world. Yeah. I agree with that.
It took me out of it a little bit. The Porgs were obviously there just to sell dolls and shit. And
absolutely, and make Chewie uncomfortable.
Yes, and I wanted to see him chew into that little fucker, man. I mean, the fact that, although that was one of the few bits that did make me laugh, where the little Porg was looking up at him like, please, son, no, don't eat him.
And his little lower lip was like, quivering.
Yeah, but it's like, he's dead already. Like, at least let the man eat, for God's sake.
Yeah, really.
Holy Christ, man. And then, so yeah, they didn't feel like they served any purpose, I mean, aside from, marketing, like I said. Rey did have some funny interactions, though, I think, with the weird keepers of the island that Luke was there with, those weird little short maid creatures that were there.
Oh, yeah.
She fired off the blaster, and it like messed up some of their stuff, and they were all freaking out. And so there was some humor that worked for me and some humor that didn't. Just like in The Force Awakens, I felt like some of the humor was really forced and really of our era as opposed to timeless. And so, yeah, that's definitely some stuff that I wanted to mention. Trying to think, you know.
Zombie Amar says Last Jedi was better than 1, 4, and 7. I think, honestly, if I were going to rank them, let's go ahead and rank them, Fuego.
Wait. Better than 1, 4, and 6?
Better than A New Hope? I don't know about that. But, all right, let's rank them.
Rank all of the Star Wars movies?
Rank all the Star Wars movies.
Return of the Jedi will always be my favorite.
Oh, you're what? Okay, no.
Okay. If you're talking Clerks and they have the debate, I I'm the Return of the Jedi guy.
All right, I'm gonna go Empire.
Gonna say Empire. Yeah.
I'm gonna go Empire, then Star Wars, then Return of the Jedi, then this one, then Rogue One.
Really liked Rogue One, honestly. In
then
some ways,
Force Awakens.
In some ways, I liked Rogue One better than this movie. In some ways.
3, 1, and 2. I still think Attack of the Clones is the worst of them all.
Attack of the Clones is really long.
Although 1 is really bad. I think 1 and 2 are equally bad. But yeah, it's 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 8. Although I might actually put 8 above 3 if I'm completely honest. I might say 2, 1, 8, 3. And then
what about the
and then 7.
Ewok movies, though? What about the Ewok movies?
Actually, I think I like Rogue One better than 7, to be honest with you. No, fuck the Ewok movies.
I liked Rogue One a lot better than 7, personally.
Yeah. So
I was just surprised at the fact that they killed everybody. I didn't think that. I thought at least the girl was gonna survive. But yeah, shit, man. If I was gonna rank them, it would definitely be. It would go Jedi. It would go Empire. It would go A New Hope. Probably Rogue One, then The Last Jedi, then The Force Awakens, then Return of the Sith, then Attack of the Clones, and I think The Phantom Menace is the worst, personally. Okay. Wow. Despite the lightsaber battle at the end, I feel like there's at least...
The lightsaber battle and the pod race. I actually like the pod race.
Yeah. The pod race was kind of cool.
It was kind of cool. Yeah. All right, guys. Is that it, Fuego? I think that's good. 30 minutes on the spoilers.
Yeah. I mean, we could dissect. I mean, lots of the spoiler reviews are probably going into predictions for the next film and things of that nature. I'm honestly really curious if the tone is gonna have that similar shift that they had from Empire to Return of the Jedi, especially with JJ coming back. I'm not very happy about JJ coming back. I was really curious about.
It's going to be interesting to see how he deals with a lot of the undoing of his work in 7.
Who knows? I was really wanting to see Colin Trevorrow do it, but unfortunately, Colin Trevorrow, the director of Safety Not Guaranteed in Jurassic World, his script treatment had to be drastically altered after the death of Carrie Fisher, because it was whereas the first one, the first in this new trilogy, TFA was a Han Solo centric film. This one was supposed to be the Luke centric film, and then Carrie and Leia was going to get the predominance of the spotlight of the old cast in this 9th episode, which we're getting in a couple years, and they had to drastically rework the script, though, and that's one thing that makes me kind of worried about how they're going to resolve all of this, and just how well they can even really do it at this point. I honestly must admit, at the end of this, I'm not fervently compelled about the next entry like I was from 7 going into 8. With all of the loose ends and things that they kind of had hanging at the end of episode 7, I felt like in comparison with where Empire left so many different things hanging, this wrapped up a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Especially with the loss of Luke and, I guess Snoke. Kylo. But yeah, Snoke being gone, Kylo's the new Grand Leader and everything, but I can't say I am like...
Supreme Leader, Snoke,
yeah. I can't say that I'm I'm oozing with anticipation for this next one. I'm obviously going to be very, very excited, but it didn't leave me in the end like just salivating for the next entry like The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens really just, I guess it ended on a cliffhanger, right? So this one did not end on a cliffhanger, though. This one really wrapped up most of the main story points and things that you could be curious about. And especially since we know Leia's not going to be in the next one unless they recast, which I doubt they're going to do. I think they're just going to start the next one with a Leia funeral, or maybe even just say it in the crawl, which will be just really shitty and unfortunate.
Yeah.
They're not going to CGI her like they did in Rogue One. So I don't know. That just further sums up the fact that I really liked this movie, but it was not perfect and probably not the Star Wars movie a lot of people expected to get. But then again, didn't Luke say in the trailer, he's like, this is not going to go the way you expect, or the way you think, or whatever. And it didn't. It didn't go in the ways that I thought it would, for better or for worse. In some ways it was good, and in other ways it was bad, and yeah.
Zombie Marth makes a point. The cliffhanger is the fact that they have no allies. No one responded to their distress signal.
True, but they'll probably...
But that's... Who cares? I mean, it's... Yeah, we always knew it was just going to be up to them anyway. So anyway, let's call it there, Fuego. Thank you guys very much for joining us for this spoiler discussion. This was a fun movie. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. I highly recommend you go see it in theater. I hated the Attack of the Clones. I never watched the Clone Wars, Sam. All right.
Clone Wars was pretty good, actually, but it depends which one you're talking about. If it was the one that the Samurai Jack guy did, or if it was the continuation where it was like full CGI
and stand by both, man. People
that more traditional animation and stuff. Yeah, I haven't watched the full extent of Rebels, unfortunately. So, and I haven't read a lot of the tie-in novels. Like I know there's a Leia one out right now that a lot of people are excited about. I know Lost Stars has been highly recommended, and those are actually, now that I'm completely done with all my Stephen King reading, I do want to get into just the expansion of the new canon that they've done in comics and in novels, because, I mean, back in the 90s, I was so about, reading all of those just continuing tales, and even the side stories of, like, Tales from Jabba's Palace and Tales from the Lost Eyes of the Cantina. I love Tales from Jabba's Palace because that's where we learned that Boba Fett actually escaped from the Sarlacc. I'm surprised that we didn't see a Fett to some degree.
We'll get a Fett movie eventually.
Well, and also, where the fuck is Billy D. Williams? Why is there no Lando
yet? That's true. That's going to be weird to crowbar him in. It's going to be weird to crowbar him in when all of his fucking friends are dead. But anyway.
But, maybe he's the one they're saving. Maybe, I think it is going to be a time jump. Like Chase.
Friend. You're dead.
Yeah. Well, he's going to maybe be in those outer regions, hanging out, being a mercenary or whatever, and he'll show up with new peeps and help destroy the big bad or whatever, just like he helped destroy the second Death Star. So I want some Billy D, though, man. I love Lando. And especially if they're reminding people of the character in the Solo spin-off film. I mean, give us some Billy D, damn it.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to call it there. Thank you guys very much for joining us. Let us know in the comments down below if you're watching us later what you thought of all these spoilers and more. But until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, I've been Jaime Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.
And may the Force be with you, Vulcans.
What? Oy vey. You had to end like that.